saying, I live in Hollywood, so just go ahead and just send it out. You can send it outside on the corner. We can come and pick it up. I mean,
It's on your way, man. It's on your way. It's on
I
your way.
appreciate you. So first and foremost, I'm so happy about this moment right now because everybody, welcome back to Power 97.5 LA, Power V 97.5 Vegas, iHeartRadio, and iGlobal Media. I'm excited to have this person on because I got to meet him last year and interview him briefly at a really great event. And when I tell you, everybody was swarming to him because it was the final season of Bel-Air. And, you know, when you think of somebody that breaks the internet, I'm going to embarrass him right now because one of the things that I have to say, I mean, it's such a very important topic. We have Jimmy Akingbola in the building. And I want to say this. You broke the internet in Paris, brother. I need the red jacket that you wore. I need the outfits. Amiri show. How are you? How is everything? And how is your heart before we get started?
First of all, thank you so much for having me on. I know we've talked about doing this for a minute, and
No,
you're a busy man. You know what I mean? We're both outside. We bump into each other. We're like, oh, this is why we haven't done it yet because we're too busy being outside. But
we're both busy. Don't act like you were not just in Paris and
yes,
signing people's stuff. And I was like, is he the featured act? Is he the model? Is he's wearing the Amir? I want the crop jacket. And I was just like, come on. But no.
Thank you. I got to give my my stylist Harrison. He's amazing. So he really helped us. Because I've always loved clothes, right? And I feel like it was my first Paris and Milan Fashion Week. Whoa. And at the same time, I wanted to I've just finished Bel-Air. Yeah. I wanted, creatively, I wanted to make a statement, and
you did. You did. You know what's crazy? And this was not even in my docket. I'm gonna embarrass you even one more time. Guess who a really good friend of mine, and we grew up together. And I remember seeing some behind the scenes of you guys creating and curating and making sure that things kind of flowed right. Her name is who was your costume designer on Bel-Air? I'm gonna leave it like that.
Oh my gosh, Queen Sylvia.
What I tell you,
gosh,
my love. She literally, we worked together at another studios for years, and I remember her just kind of putting together these pieces for you, and the love we saw behind the scenes. I just want to
I want to embarrass you one way. People, if you've seen this guy on the red carpet, this makes sense now. The fact that he knows Queen, the costume designer from Bel-Air, because every time I turn up at a red carpet, I see this man and he is immaculate. He should be on the other side of the camera. You slay it every time. Do you know what I mean? Honestly, your game is on point. So the fact that you know Queen, you guys go way back, that makes sense. But back to that love with Queen, I remember when she came on the show, I'm very hands-on. I was like, I see Geoffrey like this. I'm British, I'm Nigerian. Right. It's got to look a certain way. I can't look like I'm American dressed, And Queen just sent me probably the mood board that you had seen.
Right.
And I got humbled. I just looked at it, I was like, well, this is better than everything I was thinking and that I had on my iPhone. And I was like, I'm ready to do whatever you want me to do, Queen.
Whatever. And Sylvia's always been that way. I mean, and it's interesting because what I've always said about her is that, and we're not going to make this about her because I know she'll get embarrassed. But what I love about her is, she's always attention to detail. And that's she's always been. I have a question. First, when people see you on screen, they see strength, composure, but off screen, what brings you the most peace these days?
Oh, I'm loving your questions already. We're just getting started. I think what brings me most peace these days, two things. Love, my partner, she's her being in my life, and God, and family. Family. Those three things for me have really given me a strong sense of peace that, if I'm honest with you, even during some last 4 or 5 years have been amazing, but I've been struggling with that sense of peace. I've been, we've all been through some things. And so for you to ask me that question now, I'll be honest with you, peace is like one of my words for the new year. I don't know if you do that. So
Oh
the
no,
fact
yeah,
that,
no, I do. I just talked about it on another show. My word this year is access. But go ahead.
ooh, yeah, mine was peace. And
Yeah.
I think you can't get any greater peace than, a relationship with God and,
Mm-hmm.
and that with love and your family. So,
It.
so yeah, I think I'm full of gratitude. I
Yeah.
have to speak about Morgan Cooper because
Mm,
Morgan Cooper did the sizzle of Bel-Air. And then when it came around to doing the auditions, he chose us all, and he fought for us all. And I always say to him, thank you for changing my life. And obviously Will as well, he has to give Will
of
Smith has to give
course.
the final thumbs up. But
Yeah.
I think Morgan Cooper really showed us in these times, Mia, that it's all about doing the work. He made
Mm,
that thing not knowing how it was going to turn out.
yeah.
Obviously, he had his dreams and ambitions, but he's an artist. The main thing is like, I'm not going
Right.
to wait for somebody to give me the money. I'm going to use my
No.
own money,
Yep.
use my people, and I'm going to go to LA, shoot it in
Yep.
Kansas, and then just do
Yep.
my thing. And the fact that he's changed all our lives, that's
Mm-hmm.
impact. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like, if I'm honest, I feel like he doesn't get enough flowers.
I don't think
And
so
I
either.
and
I
I'm
don't.
tired of people only getting their flowers when they're gone.
Yep.
And I feel like what he's done, when now you've got a
Yep.
different worlds inspired because of what he's done. You know what I mean? Because back in the day, if you tried to do a reboot, uh-uh,
It
it,
didn't work. It
it
didn't
didn't
work. It
work.
just didn't work. It just didn't work. No, I mean, to your point, I think that it was a beautiful marriage. And I think, the reason I curated this show in 2020 and it got picked up by two separate people, I think I wanted to highlight creatives, right? While we're still
Mm-mm.
alive and make sure we tell our stories. And we've had
Yeah,
a multitude of celebrities and CEOs and writers and directors, but also I've had the everyday person that's just now making it, that's just now creating, right? And I
yeah.
think for you, I think of Bel Air just being such a defining chapter for you, and a lot of other things that you have done really in your past. Now that the season has wrapped, what emotions have surfaced first? Relief, gratitude, or pride?
Uh Gratitude and pride, they came together. But
Mm,
before that, if I'm honest, I was a little bit bitter, a little bit angry because I felt like we had at least two more seasons to go. You
you did,
know,
you
I,
did.
and yeah, I'm very grateful for the opportunity and for Peacock, but I just felt like, I'm an artist as well, storytelling wise. I was
Mhm.
like, we're just touching the sides,
Yeah.
and there's nothing else like this on TV that shows us in this particular
Mhm.
way. And I think it was very innovative in terms of the way that we were doing it. So I had to really work hard to let go of that. So it took a while for gratitude and pride to arrive in my
Yeah.
heart,
Yeah.
and I had to talk to myself because when I look at it now, the gratitude and pride came because we did 4 seasons. Shows are getting cancelled after one or two. The fact that we got told we got a fourth and that would be our last one, it allowed us to say goodbye on our own terms.
Yeah.
You
It
know what
was
I
very
mean?
proper. It was a
Yeah,
very
yeah,
proper.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I really love those. There was no relief. There was no relief. I definitely would like to have done a bit more. And if anything, it's lit a fire in me
Hmm.
to, I'm like, yo, let's do a
You
what's
outside now.
let's get outside and let's make. I want to make my own shows. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm
Yeah.
like, is there a Jeffrey spinoff? I'm like, yo, who's doing it? Do you know what I'm
I saw.
saying?
I was gonna say I saw a couple of interviews about you and talking about the Jeffrey spinoff. But I mean, listen, Jeffrey is a quiet, loyal, and powerful restraint within the entire presentation of Bel-Air. What part
Yeah.
of Jimmy had to evolve in order to fully embody him?
That's a real good question. I think that we have joked about us always catching up outside,
Yeah,
but I'm very much a people person. I love
you
people.
are. You are.
I get energy from that. I'm an extrovert.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jeffrey forced me to be the most still I've ever been in my life, you
Yeah.
know, physically and mentally.
Yeah.
And also as an actor, I'm used to. I just came off a show. I was doing a comedy, like a sitcom in the UK before I got Bel-Air. Like I was a shared number one on the show, so I'm used to like loads of dialogue, loads of
Right.
lines.
Right.
So
Right.
actually, with Jeffrey, when they kept giving me the lines, I was like, "Where's?" I was like, "Where's the
This
rest of
it.
the chicken?"
Like this
I was
it.
like, this is just
Little
bone,
thin, little
you
thin.
know?
Y'all got
I'm
some more
like,
back there, right? Oh, okay.
you know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait right here. I'm gonna
I'm
do
gonna
this.
wait.
I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait.
Go to episode 7, season 1. I'm like, no, now I'm hungry. Like,
Right,
are you gonna
right.
put some chicken on this bone because I'm hungry? But it taught me how it's basically I realized how much they trusted me and
Mhm.
how difficult it is to do so much with the minimal amount. You
Yeah,
know, that I call it
yeah.
acting on the bone, where you have 1 or 2 lines. It's the nuance, it's how
That's
you
it.
say it, your look, your physicality.
Mhm.
And I that was probably one of my biggest challenges, and because it was so different from me. You
Right.
know, so
Yeah.
America knows me as a stoic Geoffrey, but
Right.
actually people in the UK, they know me from doing all these crazy comedies and just doing these
Right. They see Bel-Air, they
crazy.
were like, "Who's this?"
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I love that. I love that. I'm one of those actors that I don't like to be pigeonholed, that I'm just the action guy or the romantic guy or the funny guy. I like to show my range. So,
Yeah.
like, I always think of like, when I look at Jeffrey and I tell people to look at a show I did with Idris Elba called In the Long Run, where I played his brother. And
Mhm.
it's a bit like Coming to America for,
Yeah.
West Africans,
Right.
and they're two different
It
characters,
is. Yeah.
and for me, that's what I desire. I always like to turn up and portray a different character and make an impact. And so I'm
You did.
really humbled and honored that people really love Jeffrey.
Yeah, well, and this is the thing, you did, and I think the response from the interviews that I've seen, from the people that kind of see you still, and to your point, I think that you guys had at least 2 more seasons, and this last season was so meaty, and it had so much nuance and finals, right? To your point, a lot of shows
Yeah,
to actually write their final, and I think that's the
yeah.
beauty of it. Looking at the growth of Bel Air, what do you hope audiences truly took away or still kind of take away from this chapter beyond just the storyline?
Um, the main thing is that we're not a monolith.
Mm,
I think the show really, through each character, we really showed all the different versions of
you
ourselves
did,
there.
you
You
did,
know,
you did.
I think we were really brave with that. Everybody was flawed and
Mhm.
beautiful and human because we're not perfect human
Right,
beings, you know.
exactly, exactly.
Um, and that was very intentional. And I think we're in a place where there's a lot of hate, and I think the show also moved with love at the
Yep,
center,
yep,
right?
yep.
Love and openness and forgiveness. And I think that was really important. I want people after the show to sort of, if you've got issues with your family or some friends or business
Hmm.
partners, like
Hmm.
move with love. Do you know what I mean? If
Hmm.
that person, I know it's hard if that person's been disrespectful to you, but
But
just try. And I think the show did that. Even if you think of like, I loved little Ashley's journey on the show,
oh,
how
yeah,
bold that was, and how much like the love and understanding from the parent. I know there's a lot of parents going through that now. They're like, what do I do with this? Do you know what I mean? And I love that we
yeah.
were showing that they've got issues with it. It wasn't easy, but in the end, it was like that love came through. The
Hmm.
same with Colton,
Hmm.
and even for Jeffrey, I suppose what I loved about Jeffrey that once we started peeling back the layers,
Yeah,
he made hella mistakes. He's
he
not a
did.
perfect
He
father,
did. Yeah.
Yeah, and just to lean into that and to show like this guy's not perfect. He's actually struggling and he's struggled, but he's trying to do his best.
He's trying to do his best.
And again, I've got my own father issues. I'm like, I could hate and be angry with him, or I take a minute, I check myself and go, well, he moved from Nigeria to the UK at a tough
Hmm.
time
Hmm.
with his family. The marriage wasn't going great. He's, being a black man in a white world. Like, there's a lot that he was going on for him. So any human being, it would have been difficult for them. So let me
Hmm.
give
Hmm.
him grace. Do you know what I mean? Rather than hate, and let me have an understanding and let me be light and forgive. And I think
Exactly.
the show really tapped in that in lots of different ways.
It did. And I think it just created the conversations, to your point, that a lot of people are afraid to have. And I'm glad that the show happened because now they're like, okay, I did not know how to have that conversation, but now I can see a visual of something. I want to take you to Blackbeard, Terra at Sea. I want to take you to the Royal, Stupid, Gina's Laughter Gear. I want to take you to
Wow.
The City Speaks and The Age of Conan. I want to take you back to New
Wow.
Tricks. I want to take you back to The Bill. One of
Woo.
the things that I do very well is I like to give grace to when we started. And the
Yeah.
beautiful thing about Mission to Motherland, I want to go there because it feels less like a project and more like a pilgrimage, right?
Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
What was the original emotional spark behind Mission in Motherland? And what made you say, I need to tell this story?
Oh, wow. I mean, first of all, I I feel like life has imitated art, or art has imitated life in my journey through Bel-Air. And I think my first documentary, Handled with Care, which is on Peacock, which is about me being fostered by a white foster family in the UK, you
Okay.
know? And then here I am in Hollywood pursuing my dream.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to tell that story. I'll start there because I felt anybody that's been adopted or fostered, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like the narrative in the media is all negative. You can't be anything. You're gonna be incarcerated. You're gonna be on drugs. You're not gonna have a family.
Right.
You haven't got a life. And I was like, that's not true. I,
That's not
I
true.
understand it's not the full story, And I think
Yeah.
society's been very lazy by just pumping out all the negative stories. And I wanted to make it and go, if I was 12 or 13, or if there was other people that age looking at my documentary Handle with Care, I
Mm-hmm.
wanted them to see that and go, it's possible for me. I
Right.
want him to look at someone like Tiffany Haddish and be like, it's possible for me. I
Right.
want him to look at somebody like Lenny James and be like,
Mm-hmm.
it's possible for me. Do you know what I mean? I could go on and so I think that was part one. And then Mission Motherland came to me via Danny Joshi, a producer friend of mine, that talked about going back to Uganda with his father. And he's Indian African. And he talked about that journey and he talked about my documentary. And then as we're talking, I'm in tears because I'm like, I don't get to do that with my father because he
Right.
passed during the
Right.
pandemic. But I need to return. And then I'm like, I don't know if they're gonna welcome me or not. I don't know what I'm
Mm.
returning to. And and so I realized my brother, before he passed away, he said, whatever you're fearing or doubting, lean into it. And so
Mhm.
once this opportunity came, I was like, I gotta lean into that. I gotta do it. But I also felt like doing Bel-Air, we talked a lot about Bel-Air doing the return, going to Ghana or
Right. Yeah.
Nigeria. So
Yeah.
I just felt like art and life, I just felt like I was ready for it. I
Yeah.
felt like it was
Mhm.
time. And also, my middle name's Bamidele Olatukumbo, mean wealth from abroad and return home with me. So I
Ah.
felt like that, I had to honor these names and and,
Yeah.
and go back.
Yeah.
And so I think timing and aligning. When it came to me, they said, "Would you be interested?" I was like, "Hell yes."
Absolutely. You're like, absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah.
When you think of, and I just thought about something as you were talking, and I want to stay on this, but do you think your brother and your father were able to live their dreams?
Oh, man. No, no. Oh, that's such a good question. No, I think that's why I give my dad so much grace in
Mm.
terms of how it went down between me and him. We had 10 years of being father and son, and then the rest was,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. But
Yeah.
I give him grace for that because he didn't. And I think that's what his dream was, to have his family together and live a beautiful life and
Yeah.
a marriage in the
Yeah.
UK. And that broke. And I
Yeah.
represented that heartbreak, because it
Wow.
reminds
Yeah. Yeah.
I remind him of my mom. So no, and then my brother, the heartbreaking thing for all of my family is that he was just getting started. He was a few
Mm.
years older than me. We were like twins, and he was just getting started. And I think both of them didn't get to live their dreams. And so I think what it's done for me right now is that I've got to double down even harder. I'm still here. We're all still
Mhm.
here. So, like, do that thing that scares you, go for your dream. And when I booked Bel-Air, I literally cried and I looked up and I spoke to my brother, as
Yeah.
well as God. And
Yeah.
I was like, because my brother was my support guy out here. I would phone him back in the UK, go, I didn't get that part. I'm, low on money. and he'd be like, "You're one yes away from that job that's going to change your
That's it.
life."
That's
And,
it.
and so when I got Bel-Air, I was like, I did it, bro. And those tears were coming down my eyes. And I think to me, you know what? Even I could have got a different part, but even the Geoffrey part,
Mhm.
it was meant to be that I was supposed to play that part, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think even the show on a spiritual, God, I feel like we all said it, all the cast, we felt like God had his hands on Bel-Air. We got through pandemics, actor strikes, writer strikes,
Yeah, all of the things.
some other strikes, we all got
Yeah.
through it. And then what the biggest thing for me is that I didn't realize Benny Medina was adopted by a wealthy family in the
Hmm.
US. And when he sat down with Quincy Jones, Quincy was like, "Your story is amazing. We need to tell it, but we need to do it different from Different Strokes.
Right,
And we
right.
need to do it and show America that they have a black middle and upper
Yep.
class." And
Hmm.
so the fact that this boy that was, fostered, literally adopted in the UK, watching Bel-Air with white
Hmm.
faces around me, and we're all
Hmm.
singing the theme tune to the soundtrack. I actually loved Will. I've always loved Will. I wanted to be like him, but I realized I was watching myself. Will
Absolutely.
was playing Benny Medina. So this character that inspired me and inspired everybody, but specifically me, was a version of myself.
Hmm.
And a lot of kids we struggle with enoughness and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I remember that show really having an impact. I really identified with the fish out of water aspect. Not understanding the fish out of water aspect was exactly my
That's
life.
it. And I was going to say, your father and your brother already gave that to you. Those are things
Yeah,
that will always be within you and always
yeah.
know that they already know what this end game is. They're just like, we need you to put the work on in. How did, how did this journey reshape your understanding of identity, though? When you think of, mission to motherland, right? And you think of just
Yeah.
identity in that space. Yeah,
Yeah.
but not just as a black man, though, right? But as a global storyteller.
No, thank you. Thank you. What Mission Motherland did for me and my brother Shola in a real powerful, clear way,
Hmm.
it told us who we really are. In terms of our grandma, she was a masquerade performer, and
Hmm.
masquerade performers they're called eguguns. They were only supposed to be men. And for somehow, as a woman, they let her perform, and she was one of the best. She could speak all the different tribe languages.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that creative line from my grandma is in me. It's in my brother Shola, that's part of Jamiroquai. It's in my niece, that's she's an actor. She's on Night Agent on Netflix. So the the Mission Motherland, it told us who we are. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Walking down the street that says Akingbola Street and knowing for generations and generations that's been there, it really empowered us and it grounded us. Because
right.
in those moments as an artist and in life where you might have doubts and, am I doing the right thing? Can I
Hmm.
do it?
Hmm.
It's actually, no, you are so like aligned. You are doing what you're supposed to do.
Absolutely.
And the storytelling aspect, Jamil, is so interesting. You should say that. Is that every time I act, right? Every time I produce, Jimmy Akingbola, like the fact that my family have been watching that name from Nigeria when I've been doing stuff in US, UK, around the world, it
Yep.
means it's like an affirmation, right? I'm living my names.
Yeah.
I'm bringing wealth from abroad.
Yes.
I was born abroad in the UK, and I'm bringing the wealth back to my family
That's what
and
it's
my
about.
Nigerian home.
That's what
You
it is
know,
about.
yeah. And basically at the end of the trip, I realized I've got to keep doing it. I've got to do it even more.
Absolutely. And listen, I'm speaking for your brother and your dad. I'm gonna speak for
Yeah,
them. They like,
yeah,
hey, brother, I need you to keep going.
yeah,
This is just the beginning. This is just,
yeah,
don't forget the tears. Know
yeah,
that
yeah,
the tears are just happiness. But now it's
yeah,
time for you to keep putting in the work because again, you're not just getting started. You put the
yeah.
work in and you keep building and being the blueprint that people are standing on your shoulders.
Amen.
You've talked about being more intentional with the stories and partnerships you choose. What is your internal filter now when opportunity knocks on Jimmy's door?
Oh, yeah. Great questions. Wow. Um, my internal filter is is it pushing the needle, you
Mm,
know, and
mm,
being comfortable with that, because you have
mm-hmm,
to check the
mm-hmm,
ego, have to check
mm-hmm.
the ego, but I've got to be real. Like, is it pushing the needle? If it's not, and if I've already done it, why am I doing it?
Right, right.
Um, and then I think the other filter is part of what you're talking about is how does the story I'm all about telling our stories. And when I mean our story, I mean all of us, our stories in a real authentic but nuanced and different way. And so
Mm-hmm.
like if an opportunity comes like onto my lap and I can't really see a way to do that, then
Yeah,
I'm having to be saying no a lot, you know?
right. Yeah,
And
yeah.
sometimes a great opportunity is good money, but it's like, nah, I
It's like,
need
no, it's not good. Yeah.
it's not good, you know? And that's where I feel very blessed and with the gratitude and the blessing of Bel-Air because I feel like it ticked all those boxes, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
again, just like you said, I got to keep continuing, but
You
just
got
go
to
bigger.
you got to keep going.
Yeah.
I want to get into some questions because when people heard that you were going to be on the show, the questions started rolling in. We were able to pull two questions from the bunch. The first one comes from Tim, and Tim is out of Atlanta, Georgia. He says, "The cast of Bel Air felt like real family. Who became your emotional? I love this. Who became your emotional anchor on set? And what's one behind the scenes moment that perfectly captures the spirit of the show?"
Adrian Holmes, Uncle
Uh,
Phil,
yeah.
became my we didn't know each other before we did this job, but I went to drama school with his wife, Caroline.
Yep.
So I knew her, I'd heard of him. He became my brother, my
Yeah.
emotional
Yeah.
blanket,
Yeah.
yeah, we had some real beautiful man to man sort of moments on that show of just like, sharing our hearts with each other, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, so I got lots of love for him and he was there for me. And I hope he feels the same that I was there for him. And I think an iconic moment, oh, that's a real good question. What's a iconic moment? Iconic moment was when, oh, this is so beautiful. There was me, Adrian, and Cassie, who plays Aunt Viv, and we're
Mhm.
in New York. And we've just talked
I
about.
have a question. Were you back at Cassie's house? Because she loves to do everything at her daggone house.
No, we weren't. This is the one time we weren't. But we're about 10 minutes around the corner from it.
Shout out to Cassie. She's a
Yes,
so
yes. But it was such a beautiful moment because it's what we've talked about, right? Earlier on this interview, we talked about like moving with love,
yeah.
forgiveness and like and just moving with love actually. So we see Janet Hubert at our premiere of this event, and we all look at ourselves, and we were like, she's got to be on the show, and also we love this woman, and
Right.
we rushed her with love, with kisses. She didn't have a chance to like do anything, but when she did, it was just like she welcomed us,
Yeah.
and in that moment, with tears in our eyes, we were like, Janet. We understand, how things have been and gone, but we're begging you. We would love you to do the show. Would you come and be on the show? And she, in the moment, she was like, yeah, I would, you know? And then you go, I hope it's not just a moment, but then when you hear, oh, Janet's gonna be in it.
Right. You like Will, come on, get on
Yeah,
your
it was great. And I know they were cool, but it's just that moment where I think any hesitation, it
Yeah.
melted away.
Yeah.
And again, we just brought that love of like, we're acknowledging you all for what you are, for what you have done and still doing.
And still
You know what
doing.
I mean?
Yeah.
And
And still,
she'd been watching. She was like, back to us, like, you guys are amazing.
yeah.
I'm proud of what you're doing. So that was an iconic moment. And the fact that it turned out that she got to be in the show and then how
It was
surreal when you
it
got,
was beautiful writing with it too. Like,
yeah,
oh my God.
yeah, yeah. And you need to get Cassie on the show because she's got a whole another story about that stuff with her and her life.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we all have a personal connection to the show. But that was probably the most beautiful moment I experienced on Bel Air, and then seeing both of the Aunt Vivs together. It's just like, yo, this is
Was.
crazy.
That was yeah, and I was gonna say, and it was interesting to see. I mean, even with some of the other people that did their cameos throughout, the last season, for people that have been fans and understand, the demographic of the show, I think it was beautifully done. Brittany, last question is: when you think of Mission to Motherland, how has reconnecting with your roots influenced the stories you now feel responsible with telling?
Oh, that's a great question. Thank you, Brittany. Well, basically, I've got a whole like comedy action drama that I'm pitching out here in the US
Come on,
to shoot in Nigeria. Because going to Nigeria, it made me go, I don't want to just come here and take.
yeah.
I want to come here and I want to collaborate. They've got some big Nollywood stars. I want to
Oh
collaborate with
yeah.
them
Oh yeah.
and
Oh
make great work,
oh
but
yeah.
also include the diaspora. You know
Mhm.
the Nigerians in Brazil, Germany. You know what I mean? The US. Like bring us all together. Like what does that look like when we're in one film
Right.
or one TV show? So and it's also made me want to be a bit brave, but sometimes when you audition, Brittany, they don't specify where the character's from. But there's times where I feel like there's another story to be told about the nuance of being Nigerian, but either born in the UK or born in the
hmm
US.
hmm
And then what does
And then,
that look like?
right,
You
right.
know, like
That's a whole different dynamic.
it's
It
a whole
really
different
is.
dynamic.
Yeah.
Seriously, identity. Are you fully accepted in the US or UK? Are you fully accepted when you go back home to Nigeria with the British or American accent? And like, I feel like
Correct. Correct.
those are the kind of things I would love to see a love life version of that or like a film,
Yeah. Yeah.
just like touching on those things and on a person's journey.
That would be a beautiful marriage. I remember as we get ready to wrap the show, I recurated the end of the show called the therapy session. And within that, I love these questions because these kind of take away from who you are as a person and it really makes you think in the moment. And it's like a lightning round of things. And just kind of the first thing that really just comes to your mind. What is your proudest accomplishment that you don't talk about often?
What is my proudest accomplishment?
That you do not talk about often?
Oh, okay. That's a real good one. That's a real good one. I bought my little apartment, my, you know, council, what do you go, housing association
Yeah.
place.
Okay.
I bought that before I was 30.
Wow.
You
Like,
know,
look, that's amazing.
off of doing like mainly theater and a tiny bit of TV.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, yeah, yeah.
Who in your life, which I can probably imagine, who in your life has had the biggest impact on you?
Ooh. I would say I'll say my foster mother,
Okay.
and I would say all my all my siblings, my biological siblings and my foster siblings.
Yeah.
I don't normally split it up like that, but just in terms of people
Yeah.
listening, I'd like my siblings because they helped me when I was struggling with my identity know who I am.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
both sides did.
hmm And it's
So
still
yeah,
your, I say it's together. It's still your whole family.
yeah, it's still my whole
Yeah.
family. Yeah, that's
Okay.
exactly it.
How do you recharge when you feel overwhelmed by life?
I uh I retreat. I'm not
Mm.
outside. I retreat, I rest, meditate, pray, and journal.
And you kill it on Instagram and social media and all of the things with that stuff. What is the best relationship advice you've ever received?
Best relationship advice is that there's never a such thing as a perfect relationship.
Hmm
So stop looking for perfection. And the other part is my therapist told me this. He's like, when I see how hard you work as an
Yeah.
actor, as a
Yeah.
producer, how much effort you put in that.
hmm
If I asked you, are you putting the same amount of work in your relationship?
Woo!
Would the answer be yes or no? Well, that changed my life.
Changed mine too. I had the same conversation with my therapist.
ah, It's real, right? It's
It's
real.
so real. And I think
It's
it's something about even what you said earlier, about the character in Geoffrey and the silence. Is that
yes.
was an opportunity of mine of learning how to just be in quiet. And I think
Hmm.
because to your point, I'm an extrovert and all of the things, and then to be in
Yeah.
a place of just silence and quiet is always interesting. And last question is, how do you define love?
Mm. Woo, you coming with the questions. How do I define love? Oh, mm. I think I define love with, can I say two things?
Sure.
One, one is acceptance. You know, you
Yeah.
have to accept the partner for who they are or what they bring, right?
Whatever.
You know, and then the other, I think you cannot underestimate the consistency of turning up every day, which
Mm,
goes back to the effort that what we put in our business, in our
yeah.
careers. It's like
Yeah.
we turn up every day. They may have peed us off. I'm upset,
It's
but I gotta
okay.
turn up and turn up with love
Absolutely. And intention.
and an intention.
Yeah.
Come on, it's work.
If younger Jimmy could see you right now in this place with beautiful artwork and the work that you have done and the television screens that you have been able to bless the world with and the runways and the fashions and all of the things that look great, but also your brother and your father who have been there with you throughout the conversations, throughout the challenges of life. What advice would you give him about trusting divine timing?
Oh, I would read the poem. Uh, it's the poem where the person feels like they've been walking along the beach on their own, and
Mm,
then God says, "I've always been with you. You've not been on your own. I've been walking beside you."
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't
Yeah.
remember the name, but I would read that poem to him. You know,
Yeah. Last question, and I love this, and I typically even ask this on red carpets, and I feel like I asked you this as well. Jimmy, what do you want your legacy to be?
oh, you did ask me this. What I want my legacy to be? I want, I want my legacy to be an array of different, beautiful black characters alongside a buffet of important, nuanced storytelling that represent who we are and shows us in the right way.
Yeah.
Cool. It's a good question.
Listen, I thank you for that. I want to thank you for your footprint. I want to thank you for all the things that you continue to do. I want to thank you for just
Thank
your
you.
heart. Um, everyone that comes on the show, we're what, season 6, over 250 episodes later. I love being able to touch the hearts of people. Again, we got
Mhm.
a lot of big people on the show and
Mm.
love to humanize the conversation. If you could tell your dad one thing about what he has left behind, what would you tell
I would tell him, you have left you have left a diamond that is no longer in the rough. And I thank you and I forgive you and I love you.
Your brother is young. You stood beside him, he stood beside you and saw all of the things, and you called him whenever you got the audition, didn't get the audition, money was low, money was great, the fame was there. He's a young boy. What do you want to tell him?
I want to tell him that I miss him and yeah, I know he's always with me every day. Um, and I want to tell him that I love him. And as a family, all your family, your friends, you are never forgotten because that was one of his biggest fears, like that he would be forgotten.
It will always
Yeah.
be our name, and I love it. Any last words at all, Jimmy? Any last words you want to leave?
I wow. I'm just like, first of all, I want to say thank you
Of
for
course.
being you.
Right.
I think I love it when you meet people in this world, and there are always those special ones, and you are definitely a special soul,
Yeah.
and what your work, the way that you move through the world, and the way that you give us a platform to really sort of be open and seen like this. It's important because people
Yeah.
get carried away with all the lights and all the stuff, and
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Instagram's not real. It's like, but to have real, like, you know, intentional conversations like this is it's rare. It's
Yeah.
rare,
Yeah.
from an authentic place. Sometimes it can look a bit performative and stuff like that, but it's so real and true coming from you. So I just want to say thank you for having me on. I'm honored, and I can't wait to do it again, and I can't wait to catch up with you outside.
I
And
know.
let's go and get a drink, man. We got
I was gonna
this
say, well,
this
I don't drink, so tea for me. So I was gonna say, and I'm in Hollywood, so you coming down
listen.
Sunset. Let's do it. Let's go.
Let's do it, man. Listen. Let's do it. Let's get some lemon ginger tea or
That part,
some British
exactly.
tea.
Absolutely. And I want everybody to make sure that they follow Jimmy Akingbola on Instagram, and that is JIMMYAKINGBOLA. And again, as we always say on Power 97.5 LA, Power V 97.5 Vegas, iGlobal Media, and iHeartRadio. Stay positive, but stay creative. Until next time, thank you guys for tuning in.
Thank you.